Good evening and welcome for the presentation on India's experience of HIV prevention program implemented with most at-risk population through two different approaches. One implemented through non-governmental organizations and the other through community-based organizations. So in the first two slides, I'll speak about the coverage of most at-risk populations by India's HIV prevention program and trends of HIV prevalence among most at-risk population, and then get into the presentation under discussion. So India works with almost 6 different types of high-risk groups: female sex workers, men who have sex with men, transgenders, people with injecting drug users, migrants, and long-distance truckers. Here we have given the coverage of the core groups, the 4 main groups: female sex workers, men who have sex with men, people with injecting drug use, and then transgenders. So India achieved 82.88% coverage of female sex workers and is closer to the achievement of the call of 90-90-90. So among men who have sex with men, coverage is at 68.7% and 74.6% among people with injecting drug use and 21% among transgenders. So exclusive transgenders program, prevention program in India has started in National AIDS Control Program Phase 4 in 2014. And then we have over 1,800 targeted interventions in India. So with this scale and effective prevention approaches, India succeeded in reducing new infections by more than 50%. Prevalence among IDUs has come down from 11.47% to 7.84% from 2003 to 5 to 2007-10. And among female sex workers, it has come down from 9.4% to 4.22%. Among men who have sex with men, it has come down from 8.22% to 5.91%. And thus impacting in the general population, it has come down from 0.88% to 0.46%. So as part of technical assistance to strengthen the TI program in India, Department of AIDS Control has developed a performance assessment tool. So the purpose of this tool was to understand the health of TIs, diagnose weak areas, and then take corrective actions in the course of implementation of the TI program. So the performance assessment tool was developed using critical performance indicators such as outreach planning systems, HIV testing, STI management, condom supply against demand, community mobilization, and project monitoring systems. So it is done on a quarterly basis. See, this analysis is about 10 rounds of assessments done during 2009 and 2012. So this slide depicts the number of performance assessments done by NGO and CBO. So if you see, the assessments have never been consistent because of the scale-up that happens every year. So what does the results say? So results clearly indicate an edge among CBOs, community-based organizations, on both fronts. So they are faring better in the category from poor to average, and also in the category of good to excellent. So the number of interventions when compared with NGO-led interventions in the poor to average are lesser in the CBOs, while the number of interventions who are performing better in the CBO-led interventions is better from good to excellent category. So what went into these CBO-led interventions? So we all know that CBO-led interventions have advantages in terms of connecting better with the community and understanding the community needs better. So thus, the better motivation helps them to reach out to the community with improved coverage. But in addition, the CBO-led interventions in India are given an additional resource in terms of some community-led positions. So a typical NGO-led intervention has these positions: one project manager, counselor, outreach worker, clinic nurse, and peer educators. So peer educators and then the outreach workers are given based on the ratio of coverage. While the CBO-led intervention has, in addition to these 5 positions, we have a shadow project manager, shadow counselor, community mobilizers, clinic administrator, community advocates, and then community committee coordinator. So these additional positions mobilize the community to access the services and then generate demand for quality HIV prevention services. So the purpose of having these additional positions is to help them take the role of non-community positions and then manage the TI, targeted intervention, independently. So the overall, an additional resource of about 500,000 per TI is given to the CBO-led interventions. But there are challenges as well. So we know through various studies and evidence available that CBO-led interventions do yield better results and are definitely a better solution and response to HIV. But the challenges listed in this slide make it difficult to increase the scale of the community-led interventions. First one, the transition. Transition of the community positions into the non-community positions. The community positions given are expected to take over the role of the non-community positions like project manager, and then the counselor, clinic administrator, outreach workers, and of course peer educators are the community positions. But that is always a difficulty. And we do acknowledge that there are some constraints from Department of AIDS Control Society as well in terms of nurturing these positions to take over the non-community positions. The second challenge is about the type of CBOs promoted in India. See, because of these additional resources, we see many NGOs forming community-based organizations and then running these community-based organizations, community-led TIs from behind the curtain. So that is a challenge that we need to constantly look into. And the other challenge is leadership and community involvement. So in the CBO-led interventions, we expect the leaders to change, but over a period of time, leaders tend to remain in the positions for a longer time, and then it's very difficult to leave the chair or give the chair. And also the community involvement that is expected, from the last person to the body that represents the community-based organization, so that also is lacking in many of the CBOs. So in the process, are we replacing these NGOs, non-governmental organizations, with these CBOs? Is a question that needs to be asked. But however, if we have to sustain HIV prevention efforts beyond projects, we may need to overcome these challenges and move forward to promote more and more CBO-led interventions. So I thank Department of AIDS Control and National Technical Support Unit, and very importantly, the NGOs and CBOs who are behind this success story. Thank you.